been a long time coming to this moment. It all starts back in 2016. I got to take you back to the beginning of my channel. When I went to go see Batman versus Superman after believing in it, promoting it, saying that it would be the greatest thing, but then starting to have doubts after seeing a couple trailers. I didn't have a channel back then. I didn't do a trailer reaction to BVS. I didn't do a movie review to Man of Steel. My channel begun in 2016, exactly on March 25th, 2016 to be exact. And what's special about that date? Well, that's the day that BVS hit theaters. I went to someone else's channel to do a review for them because that's what they wanted me to do, and I did it for them. But then I went home and I went to sleep, and I woke up the next day and I still felt like I didn't get all of my rage and anger and frustration and hurt and heartbreak out. So I woke up, I put my phone on, I put it on record. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't have lights. I was using a desk light. I just didn't have the right stuff. But I was so encouraged and determined to just get an opinion off on YouTube, on camera somehow. I didn't even think of YouTube, right? I just wanted to record it. And that was the BVS rant, where I talked about my disdain for Batman versus Superman and the director who made that terrible movie. And that was the beginning of my journey, fighting against the worst fandom in existence, the worst fandom of all, the Zack Snyder cult. He has a cult of disgusting, nasty fans who are evil and manipulative, who have, over the last 6-7 years on my channel, because they've been harassing me every day until, James Gunn came, and still to this day, and in this video, who have been stalking me and harassing me simply because I lobbied to get Zack Snyder out of DC because he was not good for DC. After Man of Steel, seeing the way he did Superman, it was bad then, but I forgave it. Once BVS happened, you're done. Justice League, I already knew that was going to be a mess. And because that I wanted Zack Snyder removed from DC movies from doing damage and destruction to the heroes that I grew up loving since I was a baby, his toxic fandom has wished death upon me, death upon my children, death upon my dog, who ended up dying. And then when my dog did die, they reminded me that I had a dead dog and said my dog burns in hell. When my daughter died, they say my daughter is burning in hell. Just real evil stuff, right? Just really nasty, evil, racist, terrible things. All because some fat guy on a camera talks trash about a movie he hates. I never attacked Zack Snyder personally back then because of his personal life doesn't matter for the profession. I only attacked him professionally. You're a bad director for the DC. And I said Watchmen is good, 300 is good, but it didn't matter. The fact that I critiqued DC movies was enough to warrant me to die. And ever since then, I'm still seeing the DC movies come out and be mediocre. A couple of shining ones like Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman, which gave me life, which absolutely saved the DCEU, the DCEU Snyderverse from collapse. Because it was a movie that didn't exist within the Snyderverse. It was there. It was tied to it because of that picture, but it was nothing like the Snyderverse, just like Aquaman. And all through the years, all through these people, Ann Sarnoff coming in and giving me hope and getting fired. Jason Kilar coming in and doing the dumb thing of releasing the Snyder Cut, and which embridled the fans even more to be toxic and evil, to where they wish death upon CEOs and executives at Warner Brothers. Just real nasty things. I have always been here talking about the future of DC. One day we will get it right. One day we can rid ourselves of the Snyderverse. I was always talking about it. I will still talk about it. I don't regret a single video I made. All because I knew a day like this would come, to where all my fans and my subscribers who were getting bullied by the Snyder cult, who was even frightened from even commenting in the comment section for a lot of my Snyder videos, for a lot of my DC videos, for a lot of my MCU videos, because they too were getting bullied by the Snyder cult. Just a very nasty, toxic fandom that Zack has. Then we found out that Zack was the one behind the scenes actually pushing the narrative, inciting his cult to do things for him, to the point where it got him $100 million additional movie to make the cut. Even through all of that, to get to this point here, I was always speaking of, there is a movie that can happen. The Flash was announced, I believe, way back in 2018. And as soon as they talked about them making that movie, I stood up and I said, this is the movie that could narratively fix the DCEU and change it, and now we could come into the DCU. In 2018, which is 5 years ago at this point, I said Flash could narratively save the DC universe. Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman saved the DC universe factually with Wonder Woman grossing all that money, getting all the praise. It stopped DC from completely shutting down the superhero division and quitting against Marvel. Wonder Woman did that in real life. Narratively, we still had an incohesive, up and down, good and dark, trash and good DC universe. We needed to narratively make this universe whole the way the Marvel universe did. Marvel universe did it right. We can't fight that. We can't say we got to do it our own. There's the right way, and then there's the other ways. Marvel did it the right way. Marvel did it like the comic books do it. It's just the way to do it. So then finally, James Gunn arrives. All the pushbacks of the Flash due to Ezra Miller's trash, bad, terrible antics. Ezra Miller is an abuser. Ezra Miller is a manipulator. Ezra Miller is a deviant. Ezra Miller is a psychopath. Ezra Miller needs a jail cell. Let me say that again. I don't F with Ezra Miller. If Ezra Miller was a black man, he would be in prison with stripes on his back right now. I always said that this movie Flash is the key, because I've read Jeff Johns' Flashpoint, and I knew that you could take elements of that series and put it in this movie and completely wipe away Zack Snyder's Snyderverse, completely put in characters that you need to put in for the future, make things Elseworld, make things non-canon. That's what I said in 2018. And at the dismay to my friends at the time. My friends at the time didn't even believe in me, didn't even believe in that theory, said it couldn't happen. What are you talking about? Can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. No, that don't make sense. That don't make sense. I said, yes, it does. Me standing on my own, saying that this movie could make it happen. And here we are in 2023. From 2018 to 2023, the Flash movie is out. Praise, a lot of adulation, people praising the movie, saying that it's great. Tom Cruise even going, this man comes here, man. Like, these new CEOs, David Zaslav, who's the head dog, James Gunn, Peter Safran, who run the DCU, are coming in here and they're putting structure to the DC universe. This Flash movie doesn't have much to do with James Gunn, because this was before James Gunn even came. So I want people to know that the person responsible for this movie is the person that needs his credit, Walter Hamada. He's moved on. I believe he's on Universal. Walter Hamada deserves credit for this movie being this way. I don't know if James made some edits or say take that out or whatever, but they've made a lot of adjustments to the ending of this movie. I saw this movie at CinemaCon. The final version is rumored to be out, but I don't know. I think that's going to be saved for theaters. but it might be out. Who knows? I don't know the final version, and that's great because I can't wait to see it in theaters again with my loved ones. This is going to be a Flash review. We are finally here. The DCEU dies with this movie. After this movie, the next movie to hit theaters, the next DCU movie to hit theaters will be the beginning of Gods and Monsters Chapter 1, part of it, with Superman Legacy in 2025 in the month of June. My birth month. It's Pride Month too. Guys, Ezra Miller is the Flash. He did a really good job as the Flash. This is a film where Barry Allen is he wants to save his mother's life because she was killed when he was a kid. His father went to prison for his mother's murder, and he decided, off of great sorrow, sadness, and anger, that he's just gonna run and just try to save his mother's life. In doing so, he enters the Speed Force and makes changes to the reality in which he is in. And then we see this movie unravel from there. This is going to be an honest review. I think that this is one of the better superhero movies. A lot of people saying this is the greatest superhero movie of all time. No, it is not the greatest superhero movie of all time. If the second half of this movie was the whole movie, then that answer would be yes. This would be the greatest superhero movie of all time. But because of the first half of this movie, I can't go there. Me personally, no, not at all. The first half of this movie was slow. It was unnecessarily slow. They could have cut 12 to 15 minutes out in various parts of this movie to make it flow faster, because I feel like it took too much time, unnecessary time, to get to the story of what's happening. And once he knew what he was going to do, the Barry into the other Barry transition into, what are we going to, it took them too long to formulate a plan. And what are we going to do in order to fix this problem? It took too long in the movie before they came up with the idea of, this is what we're going to do. And during that time, we're watching a couple of scenes here and there, some dragged out scenes here and there that I felt weren't necessary, because as an audience member, and this is not even about me reading Flashpoint, as a general audience member, you already understand what's happening, especially after watching all those goddamn trailers that Warner Brothers released, which I think is a bad thing, bro. You guys released so many trailers, so many TV spots. You've already let the fans see this movie in droves, and I understand your intentions. Your intentions is to get more people to watch it and spread the word of mouth, which is the greatest marketing of all time. Shout out to David Zaslav, because that man is legit. But I think that it was a mistake by showing too much of this film, because they know too much of the film. Christopher Nolan is a master at this. He's always been this way. His trailers don't give nothing. Don't judge a Christopher Nolan movie by the trailer, because you're going to get nothing, Jack. Christopher Nolan drops, I think that he purposely makes bad trailers or mediocre trailers or just unassuming trailers, because he wants that final cinematic experience to be delved to you in the theater. And I think that it was a mistake by putting too much of this movie to the public. All of us knew what the gist of this movie was. You didn't need to take an hour to set the movie up. That is my biggest problem. It drags. This movie drags in the first act and some in the second act. It's that third act. Now, I will say this. There is not anywhere better third act in a superhero movie than in this movie. I will say this. Man of Steel's action to this day is arguably the greatest action ever in a superhero movie. Like the best looking, right? Black Adam had an amazing action throughout that whole movie. It competes with Man of Steel. Now we're adding the Flash to that mix, to that fight. And honestly speaking, I have the Flash being better action than Black Adam. And when it comes to more satisfying action, I have to say that Man of Steel, still to this day, has the most technically impressive looking action. The blend from still to from when you stop to you go, like the CGI to the live action build up, and the way it blends from being some CG to a real thing. The way Zack did that was great. But this action in this movie, there's more of it, and it's more epic. This is the most epic action I've ever seen in a superhero movie. Obviously, if you're not a DC fan, you probably wouldn't agree with this. If you're a Marvel fan, you're going to say something Marvel. And that's okay, because you're a Marvel fan. Your bias is there. My bias is here. I'm more biased to Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash. I'm more biased to the Justice League than I am to the Avengers, because I believe that the Justice League is just better than the Avengers. And if they ever had a fight, the Justice League is wiping the Avengers. Keep it a buck. Just put Flash and Superman on the job, and most of the Avengers are dead. But that's neither here nor there. I believe that this is the greatest third act in a superhero movie, period. And it's because of the third act of this movie that everybody is jizzing off of this movie, calling it the greatest of all time. It is because of the third act that everybody is saying Andy Muschietti needs to direct Batman the Brave and the Bold. It's because of this movie that Andy Muschietti will probably be the director of Batman Brave and the Bold. It is because of this movie that Christina Hudson is probably going to be the writer of Batman Brave and the Bold. Christina Hudson was a problem for me. She was a very PC, woman-empowering, woke, anti-fake woke. She ain't real woke. She fake woke. Writer. Birds of Prey was dog shit. Bumblebee was whack. And I'm like, God dang, why is she the writer? She has agendas and all that. But what she did was, Saddle War brought it to my attention, Christina Hudson and Zack Snyder are alike in a lot of ways. Zack Snyder, when he has a rule and a rubric and a guide to go by, he's pretty good. Watchmen, pretty good. He had the guide to go by. But when he goes off his own cuff and uses his own brain and his own art, it's trash. He needs to be guided to be good. Watch Army of the Dead on Netflix. You'll understand what I'm saying. PBS, you understand what I'm saying. Christina Hudson is the same way. Bumblebee, she just put her own shit together, trash. Birds of Prey, no guidelines with that, trash. Flashpoint, oh, there's history there. There's a guide to go by. There's Jeff Johns paved the way. Christina Hudson followed it, and she put her swag on it, and she made that shit pop. So I do believe that she could do the same for Batman Brave and the Bold. This movie made Christina Hudson, made me give her another chance. For me personally, she did an amazing job. There was no agenda in this movie, guys. Ezra Miller is an LGBTQ actor. None of that is seen in this movie because that's how it should be. Because Barry Allen is not an LGBTQ character. And that's the point of acting. Ezra Miller, although I dislike this fool to the max, and I think he should be in jail, Ezra Miller is a fantastic actor as Barry Allen. He did a good job. He didn't do amazing and he's the best thing. No, he did a great job with this character. I buy him as Barry Allen. Of course, people have issues with who he is and all that, but I don't. I have an issue with who he is as a person. He's a bad person to me. Who he chooses to be and sleep with doesn't matter. He's a good Barry Allen. He did a good job in this movie. His acting was good, spot on. I dug it. Ezra Miller still cannot run. The run I thought was a Zack Snyder thing is not a Zack Snyder thing. I take that off of Snyder. That is an Ezra Miller thing. Ezra Miller can't run, and Andy Muschietti should have done a better job with making this man run like a runner. That ice skating bullshit is back, y'all, and it's back in full effect. It's trash. That ain't a spoiler. That's in previous movies, bro. And I'm just setting y'all up for what's up. Don't go in there expecting good running. In fact, there's a scene where he's running and he's just, and I almost threw up in my mouth, bro. I almost threw up in my mouth. That Coke Zero came up to about the back of my throat. It's gross to watch. The action in this movie is stellar. The writing of this movie is good. It lags a little bit in the first half. Michael Shannon was... I'm not going to talk about Michael Shannon, but I'll say this. He felt like he was unneeded in my opinion. The whole Man of Steel element, I don't feel like that was needed, and you'll know when you see the movie. Sasha Calle did a good job for what she had. The star, the standout, is definitely Michael Keaton. Now, I got something else to reveal. Ben Affleck is a good-looking Batman, but he doesn't have the innards. He doesn't have the Bruce Wayne on point. He doesn't have the identity of who Batman is. You know, he's a murderer. You know, thank you, Zack Snyder. Batman's a murderer. At least Ben Affleck's was. My favorite Batman was Christian Bale. Even acknowledging that Ben Affleck is the best looking Batman. That suit is fire, right? Christian Bale's the best all-around Batman. At least up until watching this movie. Michael Keaton was my number 2 to Christian Bale. They flip now. Michael Keaton is the best Batman of all time. Period. Michael Keaton is the greatest Batman of all time. A lot of the things that I've always wanted from a Batman, it happens in this movie. It's so good to see. It almost brought a tear to my eye. All you Batman fans, y'all need to rejoice at some of the shit y'all gonna see. Because a lot of y'all will say, Michael Keaton's an old man. Who is that? He trashed no one. I told everybody, wait for those trailers to hit. When those trailers hit and you see these real heroes on screen, y'all gonna change your minds. And for sure, y'all changing your minds. It's good to see. It's good to see Michael Keaton getting the kudos that he deserves. Seeing this fool Michael Keaton was just a revelation to me, bro. And to see him in that fashion, to be the best on screen, made me just to my core just feel so good. It's that superhero tingle that I got that I haven't gotten for a while. Batman fans, rejoice. You're about to be blessed with greatness. The true meaning of what a superhero is. They get Batman right, bro. Batman isn't just a selfish brute. This motherfucker is a hero. He is that dude. And Michael Keaton, of all, coming back from the 80s when I was a kid, is coming to recognize and show niggas in 2023 what Batman is all about, bro. I love it. Robert Pattinson, you're trash. Matt Reeves, you suck. Your universe is gonna suck. Miss me with that The Batman bullshit, with that whack Batmobile, whack suit, whack, all that whack. The movie as a film, I think it's good. I give it a B. But as a Batman movie, you trash. This is Batman. And I look forward to seeing who they cast for Batman in the DCU. That Matt Reeves universe, have that. That DCU Batman, my Batman. Michael Keaton, my Batman. Some of the things that you see in this movie in the third act are just pure spectacle jizz. Just complete sack emptying awesomeness, bro. And that puts this movie over the top. I mean, it's a competent film. There's some things that I can't talk about. There's an amazing thing with the end of this movie that has to do with his mother, what has to do with his father, what has to do with tomato soup. I believe it was tomato soup. It's just simple genius there. Christina did a really good job with that. She like came up with something so... I cried in this movie because of something that Christina wrote in the movie. She did excellent for bringing that emotion out of me. I mean, the people who I was with were also crying. It was that good. It's more than just a superhero movie. It is a movie about the love of a mother, the love of a father, the love of a son. It actually has a good story, and it has feel-good moments. And you know, I'm an emotional wreck. I cry whenever I am a slave to my emotions. My emotions are here. Go ahead. Give it to me, baby. I love it. I love the way it makes me feel. And this movie makes me feel good. You have to understand, in that third act, not only are you giving me the freaking best action scene I've ever seen in my life, but you're doing epic. It's what the action means. The action has meaning. Then you give me that emotional shit at the end, bro. That was all made for me. That was all made for me. Guys, go see The Flash. A lot of the endings have been changed, so you still see it in the theater. And to answer the question, with the ending that I seen, I think it was genius. And cognitively, if you have cognitive thinking in a brain and you could see what's going on, obviously you can see with what the ending that we saw in CinemaCon that the Snyderverse is no more, that alternate universes are happening, and the DCU has a fresh start to do anything that it wants because of this movie. I wanted to let you guys know that. DC rises because this movie helped get us there. None of the stuff in the future that James was going to do, James has planned, would be possible unless this movie come out and did this, right? I mean, sure, James could have said, everything's wiped. Oh, no, we're starting over this day. He could have said that verbally, but nothing beats the narrative of the fans seeing it for themselves. So even though James is going to do amazing things, I don't believe that it was possible in this way unless this movie was out. Flash is a great movie that a lot of people will enjoy. I believe that if you could get through some of the lagging first act, second act area, you will be rewarded with pure superhero, epic DC awesomeness. I think everybody will love this movie. Women, children, families. Everybody go watch this movie. I give The Flash an A, my dude. A solid A. It gets that Wonder Woman A. Now we can have spoiler reviews, spoiler discussions, talking about this movie for the next few weeks. DC Rises. Put in the comment section what you guys think. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time, and now we go forward with James Gunn and Peter Safran at the helm, with the ultimate God King Xerxes being David Zaslav. I'll see you guys on the next adventure on DC Rises, baby. Let's go. Superman Gang 2025.